Oh boy, disclaimer.
Welcome one and all to Banderson's Treehouse of Horror Countdown Review. Continue watching, if you dare. Treehouse of Horror 6 is not as good as Treehouse of Horror 5. Then again, it was never going to be. Treehouse 5 was essentially when the Treehouse episodes peaked. How can you follow what is essentially the best Treehouse episode? Short answer, you can't. But you can't be too harsh. At least they tried. And just because you aren't as good as a previous episode doesn't mean you aren't good at all. So let's see just how good Treehouse of Horror 6 really was. Somewhat annoyingly, for this instalment the graveyard and fun tombstones are gone. Instead we just see the Headless Horseman throw Krusty's decapitated head at the camera before the credits roll. It's a shame to say goodbye to the cool graveyard visuals, but hey, it's a short and simple tribute to the Sleepy Hollow legend, so I'll take it with a pinch of salt. Giant things destroying buildings and cities has been a big staple of horror over the years, so of course the Simpsons needed to do a parody of it, and that's where Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores comes in. When Homer believes the Lard Lad company have falsely advertised their colossal donut, he decides to steal the donut belonging to the Lard Lad statue. However, a lightning strike brings said statue, as well as all the others in Springfield, to life. There's a lot of social commentary throughout this one, with the segment clearly being a parody of how much advertisements corrupt the mind of those who see and hear them. It shows the damage that can be done by advertisements only as actual damage of a city, and it's a great commentary. Whilst not scary, like at all, the segment does have some good comedy. Seeing Kent Brockman get attacked by an advertisement of himself is great. Also, hearing Homer call out Marge is wonderful.
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
Sometimes.
A lot of imagination went into this segment too, just all the different ideas for advertisement symbols, and each of them have their own unique characteristics. You have the giant-headed Zip Boys, the illuminated Duff Cowboy, a weird blue hat thing, a giant Kent Brockman, a giant peanut who eats people like peanuts, and Lard Lad himself, who is just cold. The ending is pretty clever too. Lisa finds out that the best way to get rid of the monsters is to stop looking at them, much like actual advertisements. So she gets Paul freaking Anchor to help her write a jingle to stop townsfolk from looking at the eyesores. And it works! Then again, the tune was damn catchy.
To stop those monsters, 1, 2, 3. Here's a fresh new way that's trouble-free. It's got Paul Anka's guarantee.
Guarantee void in Tennessee. Just don't look, just don't look.
This segment also features that annual Kang and Kodos cameo. Turns out the reason their appearance is so brief is because they genuinely forgot to put them in, so they rushed something together last minute. Damn. Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores gets a solid 7 out of 10 from me. It's not scary, and being honest, overly funny, but it's entertaining and memorable. Seeing the advertisements come to life is fun, and like I said, the imagination of this segment was huge. Also, it was well animated, and the ending was very original. Ah yes, I've waded through 5 of these damn specials and now we finally get to this one. Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace is an obvious parody of A Nightmare on Elm Street. However, it's a rather loose parody. Essentially, the only thing that is the same is a groundskeeper dies in a fire and kills kids in their dreams. But the rest of it is actually an original take on the idea. It turns out that Willie actually died thanks to Homer turning up the thermostat, causing Willie to catch fire. When no one helped him, causing him to burn to death, Willie vowed revenge on the town by killing their kids in their dreams. This segment is definitely funnier than the previous one. For some reason, everything Willie says in this segment is gold. He manages to be funny and menacing just like Freddy Krueger.
Hey, you've mastered a dead tongue, but can you handle a live one?
There's also plenty of dark humour thrown in too. And the comedic timing is perfect.
Our next budget item, $12 for doorknob repair.
I also love the idea of Nelson having a floor buffer run over him. What the hell was going on in that dream anyway? Speaking of the dreams, they are the highlight of this segment. The opening scene is definitely a dream Bart would have. It's full of cartoonery, such as Santa's little helper talking, the birds flying around Bart's head, and the classic Wile E. Coyote sign gag. Martin's dream is beautifully animated and Willie's appearance is visually wonderful. This segment also gets points for being scary, which is something the previous segment didn't deliver on. As I said previously, Willy is genuinely terrifying at points. His maniacal laugh is eerie as hell, and some of the things he transforms into are terrifying. The segment also has its violent side. We literally see Martin Prince get constricted to death, and Willy burn alive. Look at this! The final dream sequence is what really sells it though. The creepy playground is a great aesthetic for the sequence. Willy is the main reason it's memorable though. Upon sinking into quicksand created by Bart, Willy comes back as a giant bagpipe spider. Seeing his legs slowly appear from behind Bart and his head raised from the ground is spine-chilling. Maggie using her pacifier to kill Willy is also pretty funny. I'll give Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace a 10 out of 10. It manages to deliver on the comedy, the scares and the animation, so it's a big thumbs up from me. I also like how they did their own thing with the source material rather than making a basic step-by-step parody of it. Opinions are an interesting thing. A lot of people have them, yet attack others for having one too. With that in mind, I'm in for a rough few days reading the comment section, if anyone comments that is, because the only word I could think of to fully sum up Homer Cubed is overrated. Now I know you're all shocked by this reveal, but let me explain. Yes, I am well aware as to why this segment is popular. The 3D universe is like nothing that I was ever seen up to that point. Hell, the visuals were similar to PS2 Simpsons game graphics, a full 5 years before the console was released and a full 8 years before Simpsons Hit and Run came out. That alone is mind-blowing. However, if you remove said amazing 3D world animation, you know what you're left with? Nothing! Seriously, all that happens in this segment is Homer walks around in the 3D landscape whilst numerous people turn up at the Simpson household wondering how to get him out of the 3D zone. That's it. I guess you could argue it's fun to see the Simpsons struggling with the concept of a 3D object, like a cube, but overall it's just dull. It's not scary, and it's not really funny either. Yeah, you have the holy macaroni gag, but even that barely gets a chuckle. There's plenty of background jokes, but as a person who is crap at maths, they don't make sense to me. Also, this segment has the Simpsons characters at their absolute stupidest. How hard is it for Homer to walk back? I mean, really? Why not tell them it's safe to enter? Why not run back to where he came from after tearing a hole into the universe? Was it really that difficult? Still, Homer appearing in the real world and being scared of humans is a pretty fun end to the episode as a whole. I'll go 5 out of 10 for Homer Cubed, because whilst it was dull as hell, they at least thought outside the box and did deliver a visual masterpiece. Seeing Homer transition from 2D to 3D was fantastically animated. I feel bad for Treehouse of Horror 6 because it had such a benchmark to live up to. After Treehouse 5, it would be difficult to get a Treehouse episode that good again. Still, like I said, it tried and it tried well. Sure, it's not as good, but it's still good in its own right. It has a fun opening segment with Attack of the 50-Foot Eyesores, and Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace got a 10 out of 10. And sure, Homer Cubed got an average rating, but I still can't deny all the hard work that went into it. Treehouse of Horror 6 is hard to rate because of the stark contrast of quality per segment. The first two are good and excellent respectively, but man, Homer Cube drags it down a little. Because of that, I like to think anything higher than a 7.5 out of 10 would be unfair. It's still a good Treehouse episode, I just think that some of the ones before it were better. And that's it for this video and this review. Do you agree with what I've said or do you think I'm being a pillock? What do you think of Treehouse of Horror 6? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you all very much for watching and I'll see you next time.